Okay, good morning everybody. Very welcome to the last webinar of the Agile 42 Connect event this time. Today we have Yasmin and Lena Natus with us, and they are going to give us an interesting talk about social media, storytelling, and how to use different kind of platforms. And as they were already warming up a little bit, we got very interested with my colleague Vanessa to hear what they're going to talk about. So we are at least looking very much forward to this. And thank you also Lena and Yasmin for being here today. Vanessa and I will be taking care of you in the chat and the Q&A. So please comment on the topics that you hear today in the chat. And please write also to all panelists and attendees so that everyone in the audience can take part of your comments. And use the Q&A for the questions. We will reserve some time in the end of this session for the questions. So we are looking forward to have answers from Lena and Yasmin later on. This is a recorded session, and the recording will be shared on a blog post and social media afterwards, so also stay tuned for that. If you want to help us help, we also this week have a donation going on where you can help people from the COVID crisis who are hungry. So for €8, you can give one person food for 1 month. We will put the link in the chat for you if you feel free to donate together with us. I'm not going to take any more time now from Lena and Yasmin, so go ahead and we will see you with Vanessa in the end of your session for the questions.
Okay, hello everyone. Yes, welcome to the webinar with Yasmin, and I'm going to introduce myself quickly and then let Yasmin talk. So my name is Lena. I work as a consultant for company culture and organizational and people development at Dbmove. I do have a very close connection to Divimove as I've been working, I've been the replacement for the head of HR when she was on maternity leave. And yeah, the company went through many mergers in the time when I was there, and we also worked with Agile 42. We grew from 90 to 250 people. And also I've been part when COVID hit us. So I've been also listening to the panel on Monday, and will try to connect a little bit social media to what we're facing right now, and how that has impact on the usage of social media, or if there is any impact. And we'll ask questions to Yasmin in that direction. And yeah, I hand over to Yasmin. Yasmin is the managing director of the studio at Dbmove and VP for content strategy. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and especially what you do at the studio.
Thank you, Lena, and thank you, Sophia and Vanessa, for the introduction. Yeah, I've been in the entertainment business, I would say, for around 20 years right now. I've worked for several German broadcasters, but also for production companies producing huge TV shows, and also for a company called Amazon Prime Video before I joined Divimove last year. Divimove Studio is pretty much, I would say, an all-in-one production company, which makes it pretty unique. So we are not only specialized on producing TV shows, we are also producing several content for TikTok or for Instagram, also everything which is digital. So it's a huge range we are able to offer to our consumers, which makes it, of course, way more interesting than to work in one segment specifically.
Great. Okay. Yes, let's kick right into it. You have brought us some slides, and I will try to share my screen. So the first question I have, or which always comes, is social media. There's so many opportunities, and how can we use these opportunities as a brand? Is it a curse or a blessing? It's a very
a curse or a blessing, yeah.
That we have all these opportunities, and yeah, often people do feel overwhelmed by all these options and don't really know where to start. So I'm quickly trying to share my screen.
I think on your question about is it a curse or a blessing or feeling overwhelmed, I would say just breathe in the beginning. That is always helpful, just to sit back and breathe and don't get into a hurry or into a fuss if anyone is telling you you have to be on all platforms, because that is definitely not the case. In my opinion, it's a blessing and a curse. It depends on from which perspective you're looking at it. I think for most of us, it's a blessing in this case that it gives us more opportunities to show our content. I mean, back in the days when you wanted to be like on TV or on screen or even in radio or in print, you had to go like to an audition to get yourself out there somehow. So basically, social media has enabled everyone to become a broadcaster or an actor or a creator. So it is definitely a blessing because it changed the way how we can consume and how we can interact with each other. But it can also be a curse if you like follow different persons, which might lead you, we had this discussion before, into kind of a bubble. Instagram is always this perfect glossy platform. I had this example shared with you before of this one pretty famous German influencer. Her name is Nova Farina Opoku. She has over 1 million followers. And her account is like this perfect glossy Instagram world. And she was one of the first who had the courage to start a second account and even promoted it on her official account, which is called Never Failed So Good. And on this account, she's showing like the real pictures, like the non-photoshopped ones, the non-glossy ones, the non-perfect and pose ones. And it was pretty sad to see that the amount of followers and the amount of interaction on this real account was way, way lower than the amount on the glossy one. That shows definitely that the people want to escape and they want to see this kind of fancy, glossy, everything is good and everything is perfect world. But I think as a brand and also as a creator, you have to be aware what you are showing those persons and what kind of perception this can cause, and also what kind of pressure this can cause to the younger generation. So yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. Like everything in life, you just have to be aware of your responsibility in every case.
Yeah, I can also, as an actor, I can relate to that it is a blessing and a curse for you have to think the medium new and understand how it works. And it feels really simple because you can just use it, but it still has his own language or their own language. But yeah, so where would you start if you want to start using social media? What's the starting point?
I think besides just breathe, curiosity is always a good advice. Be curious, because I think breathe and then look into the platform, be curious to see how it works and see how the people interact with the content. But if I go back to your question where I would start as a brand or even also as a creator, I would always ask myself, what is my message? Okay. And who's my audience? Who is my target group? So first, when I have defined my message and my KPIs, what I wanted to reach, then I have to like really dive deep into who my users are and who my target group is. Because the more I understand the need of the people, the better I can like tailor-make my content so that it really reaches them and gives them a value.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you also brought this quote.
Yeah, Andrea, this is for you. No, I think the funny part in this quote is, I think you all might know our pretty nice guy here, Jeff Bezos. And I was working for Amazon because I was pretty curious to see how this system became so big and what like the recipe behind this is. So they have these leadership principles, and one of his favorite leadership principles, his first one, is the number one thing that made us successful is this obsessive compulsive focus on the customer. Andrea was arguing when we had that in a chat that obsessive for him is a negative word. I understand where he's coming from, but I think in America the obsessive word is more in a positive way. And what I really like about this quote and what I'm missing in a lot of companies is most of the people just focus on the products, but you have to focus on what your customer wants and what your customer needs to like really find the way to perfectly serve him your product as a solution or as help. So basically what Jeff was always like challenging us from the Prime Video perspective was to be like in the head, to understand the needs, to understand behavior, and then to see what we have as a product and how we can develop and like serve that. So what I try to like take into Divimove too is, especially for our strategy team, is to really dive deep into the target groups for our clients. If you get a new pitch or product, to understand like what the needs of this special group are, to see how we can tailor-make a solution around those needs.
Okay. And how do you dive deep?
Yeah, that is basically something which you can do in several ways, and it definitely depends on who your target group is. I understand that we have a huge range of that. We have younger target groups and audiences where there is ways to like gain into insights about them, and even into older ones. So that depends on, you have to like clearly look at it, and then you have like several tools you can use or studies which can give you insights. And it depends on how seriously you take it. I would always advise to set up a panel, to get an agency to get out and to really get persons from this target group into kind of an audit meeting and to really talk to them. It gives you so much insights. It's so valuable. And especially during those Corona times, I think it's even more valuable to really like search for the connection and search for input and listen. I think to listen is one of the most important advices. Don't try to push your message into such an audit. Just listen what the need is, what the fear is, ask questions, and take all those insights and put it into your marketing plan. Because to be honest, social media is just part of one big marketing size. It's a separate unit, but it's part of a holistic view on it. You shouldn't just take social media extra and do something else on your classical marketing accounts like TV or print. It always has to be a holistic view from my perspective.
Okay, and because what I see is when I look at accounts who work well, they often start with a real just curiosity and fun. Somebody is starting something out of fun and then something grows into it. And what I can imagine for brands, that it's just harder to get that natural flow. And then you have all the platforms. So you would just really dig into what...
It's harder if you don't have a plan. I think just to start something out of curiosity is good, because curiosity is mainly a positive thing, but that demands time. So you have to like take the time to fill the account. So basically what I would advise is sit down, like really do your homework, I would call it. We do it on a business model canvas where we try to figure out what we wanted to reach. So then make a plan and start to roll out this plan, because what is basically the most important thing to gain organic reach on social media is to be continuously. You just can't drop something and then be like 2 weeks quiet and come back again and drop something and expect people to see you. Because that is the curse. We have so much content that it's such a buzz that you have to like really gain and work for your audience to get like noticed. Yeah. So if you escape for too long, you might get unrecognized, and the time you need to get back into recognition might take too long. So basically like sit down, do your homework, do a solid plan, even take the time to say, okay, I want to do a trial period. but be aware that a trial period of 4 weeks might be way too less. You have to like definitely go on a longer period. I would suggest at least 3 to 6 months to have a like solid trial on how you develop your content.
Yeah.
Because that is also an interesting thing and the good part on social media. I mean, usually when you were producing something for TV, radio, or print, it was out there. You couldn't change it. The good part is on your social media account, you can learn on a daily basis because you can publish your content, you see the feedback you get from your community, and then you can adapt it to your next content and make it even better. So that is what I mean with consistency. Listen, get the feedback, and then make your next step even better than your first one.
Yes.
We also brought and showed you the value index, and Lena was a bit confused in the beginning why I chose an old value index from 2018. Just to give you an example, this is something, there's a small office in Hamburg called Trendbüro. There's a professor working there who is working on trends and everything that is happening in our community and in the world and what like really touches people, what the values are, where the needs and the lacks are. And this is pretty interesting because it comes out every second year and it shows on a range the value of the people and the needs. And what I found pretty interesting about this part, I think the next one will come out by September, October this year. And it will be pretty interesting to see how it changed and what has risen in the next months. So as you can see, on 2018, nature was one of the first winners over all those years. And it's a continuous winner, I would say, since 2012. Also family, which might be even more important after Corona. Then we have security on part 3, which is also quite interesting. It might get even more due to Corona. I think this one was mainly caused due to all the crises we had and the wars and all the refugees. And completely down there, we have sustainability, which is quite interesting because you can see a peak in 2014 and then it went down again. And I think Fridays for Future even brought it up. So it will be pretty interesting to see, besides all those different and additional facts like health, which is gone down since 2016 and will definitely rise due to Corona, how this will evolve over the time. Yeah. I think this is a pretty interesting part where you can see how our humanity outside is experiencing all this and what the needs are, and this gives you insight on how you can prepare your content, or if your content fits in any kind of those categories, it might be a good part to like send it out and even push those buttons more.
Yeah. And as you said, it's coming out again in September. So
yeah, so this is one of the tools you could use when I say we wanted to know the target group is like having in their minds and what the needs are. This is one thing or one perspective you can look at too.
To look into the research. Okay, great. And I just want to jump into, I love this picture.
Yeah, I love it too. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it really shows that we have to change our mindset by using social media, and we have to understand how it works. So maybe you can tell us a little bit what it means.
The fascinating part about this picture is it makes me laugh and cry on one side because it shows that everybody, as I mentioned, has become a broadcaster. And I think the main focus here is to take the perfect picture. I just see one person in the second row who is like really looking at her and not like looking through the phone. This is a complete shift in the generations. And I think a lot of you guys who might have joined a concert before might have been like really also like wondering why everyone is holding their phone up and not enjoying the concert. It's kind of, I'm not sure how I think about that. It's kind of different, but that is actually what I mean, what is happening. Everyone is broadcasting immediately what they are experiencing. On the one hand, this can be positive because you can like double your conversation. on the other hand, it can also be critical because everyone is filming everything. So if something negative happens, it might be out there pretty soon too. So this is just a good picture to keep in mind, that the generations have changed and that the awareness of broadcasting or putting out content is completely different than in the generations before.
And also how much power social media.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yes, and if we go into how much power you have via social media and why it's so important, that's a question we had in our introduction, to position yourself on social media. You also brought us some insights on the usage of social media. So maybe,
yeah. Just some charts we wanted to show you to give you some numbers. Of course, these are the 2019 numbers. 2020 will come out soon. The source is mentioned down there, and you can try to click in there if you want to have deeper insights, because they prepared way much more. We had the discussion before, has Corona changed anything? I wouldn't say it has changed mainly the behavior. It might have changed the way we consume, because we have different timings right now. Usually everyone was checking social media in the morning on the way to work, and then you were gossiping over a coffee with your colleagues what you have seen, and then maybe if you have a lunch break or in the evening when you are back. Now in the home office it might have become a little bit different. You might have your WhatsApp chat open, or you might be on LinkedIn too on a parallel basis. So it will be interesting to see if these numbers increase over the time due to Corona. I think they will. But if you go to the next chart, this will be the more important one. It's interesting to see that the time spent usage on social media has risen, but not so much from the years 2017 to 2019. So I'm pretty curious to see the numbers for 2020. I think they will be a little bit higher, but to see the amount, to see that it's way over 2 hours of your life you are spending on those platforms, is pretty interesting, and definitely shows that if your target group is anywhere on one of those platforms, it might be good to consider to have also a presence there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, it's interesting to see that and to really see the power. We've been talking about platforms and usage of platforms, and as it's often so hard to know where to start and what to use, what are the different platforms for? Or how would you just choose one platform? Would you choose more than one platform?
It depends on the resources you have. This is just one outtake of a seminar we are doing to find the right platforms for our customers or for the product of the customer. So basically we have all those different platforms and new platforms coming in each day. And nobody is really sure, will this platform stick? Will it evolve? Or will it get bought from somebody else, like Musical.ly got bought from TikTok and merged into one huge newcomer? So there is some basic work you could do. You could look at the platform, and the next part you do is look at the motivation. Why is somebody using that platform? Because usually out of the behavior, you could really easily consider, does my product or my content fit onto this platform, or how can I make it perfectly tailor-made so that it gets consumed on this platform? We try to categorize that a little bit, and try to explain what kind of content you should create or produce to be successful on those platforms. As mentioned, it definitely depends on your product, your target group, your message, and also your KPIs. If you want to do selling, you definitely have to consider also different strategies. So that is just a glimpse into how we work and how we approach a strategy for a successful social media presentation.
Okay, and just as I'm interested in LinkedIn, where would it is in dialogue with others? Would you?
Yeah, LinkedIn has evolved over the past years, which made me pretty happy to see. I mean, we had Xing in Germany, pretty big in the German region and European region. it is pretty interesting to see how LinkedIn learned from all those other different social media platforms and from the success from Instagram or Facebook. So they also started to integrate stories into LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is really a good platform if you want to do B2B marketing. It's a place you definitely should like enter and be in there. But you have to be aware, and that is quite an interesting part because I saw that under a few posts. It's still a business platform. So I saw a few postings of people who like publish different content who would be, I think, basically mostly on Facebook or Instagram. And then I saw people responding to that. I thought this is a business platform. What is this content? What kind of value has this content for me? And why are you publishing it? So that is what I'm referring to when I say be aware of the platform and the usage of the platform, and think about what content you want to push out there, because it is pretty important to always have the value for your user in mind.
Okay. And then maybe use two platforms for different,
Yes, for different aspects, definitely.
Yeah, and you've been speaking about the evolution of platforms. That's really interesting when you showed me that slide, how platforms evolve.
Again, a blessing and a curse, like everything in life. Now, I think it's pretty interesting to see what Instagram did over the years. And I don't know how many of you feel, but I was pretty sad because I loved Instagram very much. I'm into photography, and for me, it was like the perfect platform because I loved this one moment, one shot, and it was all about this one picture. But Instagram, as it got bought by Facebook, definitely changed. So it became like a platform for data-driven discovery. So it gave you more insights, but also, again, an algorithm is also something scary. But then it also changed into image and videos. I think the first step they made was from showing just one picture into showing an album. So you were able not to show one picture, you had an album function where you could slide to 3 or 4 pictures. So this magic of this one special moment was gone. Today, Instagram completely changed into a complete, I would say, business platform where you can even like sell stuff. As you might have seen, commerce has entered in 2019. What makes me a little bit sad is the feeling that this platform, can you step back? Yeah, thanks. That platform gets used to just try out different things. I mean, as we all know, Facebook was curious to buy Snapchat. They didn't manage it because Snapchat didn't want it to sell. So they adapted functions of Snapchat into Instagram stories. Now they are trying to copy TikTok with Instagram Reels. So for me, it will be pretty interesting to see how this platform will develop, because I think, or I'm afraid that they are losing their original core they had. They are trying to become everyone's lover, everybody's darling, which is kind of a real hard and I would say unworkable task.
Unworkable task, yeah. But it's amazing. Now I see these 4 and I have forgotten 2011. It's out of my mind.
And this has been the old logo, like this retro camera and all that. Like, I love change. Don't get me wrong. I mean, change is interesting, and I'm a curious person, and I love to surf. But this wave they are riding currently in copying also functions of TikTok, I'm not sure if this is like the right way. And everyone was saying over the past years that Snapchat is dead. Snapchat is definitely still there, and in America even stronger than in Europe. So I wouldn't underestimate somebody who has a backbone and says, no, this is my product and I want to leave it as it is. I think a lot of stuff that Mark is doing is pretty impressive because he's always evolving his products. But that is also, I would say, a thin line between evolving and just becoming a copycat.
It's interesting. I'm looking a little bit at the time.
Yeah. Shall we skip to the next one?
Let's skip to the next one. I could talk. I could listen to you much longer. But if we look into the next one, the next 2 slides.
Yeah, that chart is basically in there because I love this meme so much. You can do epic shit with basic people. This is just the example, and I saw that in one comment about Instagram becoming a selling platform. I think one of the person who is like really showing how to play social media is this family. I mean, of course, they have a huge TV show running in America. And you can definitely think about them as persons, whatever you want to think. But what I admire is the way how they combine TV and their social media presences to do selling for their products. And Kylie even made it to Forbes, America's Woman Billionaire. Because the interesting part to see is if you play this game like really hard and really consistent, if you switch to the next slide, please. On the left side, you see Kylie with over her millions and billions of followers. I think this is actually outdated. And on the other side, you see Peg McGreal. She is, really an artist in cosmetics and is doing pretty much the same and has even almost the same line and range of products. But she's a stylist who had like learned this from the beginning, but she has way less followers. I mean, it's still millions of followers, but completely different. So if you like really play it right and integrate it perfectly, and I don't say that this is the good way, but it's a way that is working, you can like really do hardcore business out of it.
A question, can I just ask you a question with this is, so if you have a business, I want to use Agile 42, a coaching business, and of course you're more like, you probably identify more with the professional, or not probably, you will identify more with the professional with Path I don't know her, but I know Kylie, interesting. But you will identify more with this kind of person. So I can almost see like that you're against it, that you feel like we're professional, we don't want to just sell something. Do you?
Yeah, I think no, isn't it all in the end about doing business? I mean, you want to reach your audience, you want to sell whatever kind of product you have, but there are different ways to approach that.
Yeah.
What I wanted to show with this example is that you can learn from everyone. I think this is the good part about social media and about seeing different stories and about seeing brands try and even fail, because you can see it as a buffet at the end, like a breakfast buffet where you have everything and you go there and you really look at it and you just pick the stuff you need for yourself and you just leave the rest.
Yeah.
Just make your own plan and make your own vision out of it. I think that is the important part.
And be open.
But the blessing is that you can like look into each and every one and look how they did it and see if there's any essence in there where you can relate to, or where you say, this could be also a way for me. But I would always suggest be aware what your way is before and don't just copy somebody. And
that is and have a strategy about it. Yeah.
Because if you just copy in the end, and I think a lot of girls, we also have German influencers who brought out their own cosmetics like Bibi. They are also successful, but just to a certain level, and then there's an end, because the market is pretty full with all those products already. So if you are able to find your own niche and your own value, which maybe not everyone has and you can offer, there's no one size fits all. That is a perfect comment. It definitely is no one size fits all. But the good part is, as I mentioned, you can tailor-make your own success.
I'm just, you have to just start really digging into it, and it's probably a time question, or that it is something you feel it's a marketing tool. I just do it quickly, but that doesn't work.
I think one interesting example for Instagram becoming a selling platform is the brand Danielle Wellington. I don't know if every one of you knows it, but Danielle Wellington is selling watches, and they just started on Instagram. They never had a shop they just did it all with Instagram and influencer corporations. And over, I say it was about 6 years, they evolved so much that they have pop-up stores around the world, I would say, and are selling those watches still through influencer corporations. But right now they have become so big that they have Hailey Bieber as a testimonial selling their watches. So you definitely have brands, also a German brand like Hello Buddy, who has become a quite popular range of care products that just built their success out of Instagram and have become such valuable businesses that they were even able to transport it into real life and to open stores.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. That's really interesting. Also a completely new approach to things. As I'm sorry, I'm looking at the time, so I'm thinking maybe we jump.
Let's quickly rush through those charts. I just put them in here because I get always asked, okay, where can I look for inspiration? And I think there is one branch in this business, which is the gaming part. They are always first movers on every corner, on virtual reality, on augmented reality. And I think you all might remember the hype of Pokemon Go, where you could see people gathering around with their mobile phones. And first you were like, what is happening there? And then you got, okay, this might be some special point where they can gain something. So these gamers always trying to find new ways to combine technology and new things into their strategies. And they just planned a new rollout for this year. I think due to Corona, they had to switch it. I'm pretty curious to see if it comes out next year, because all those gatherings won't be allowed currently. But I think the gaming part is a part you can have an eye on to see how brands try to play and to evolve over the time and take gaming out on the streets and not just only inside your house, what was like way before. The next chart I think we also put in there is one interesting part to see that in America, the gaming hours had even surpassed the pay TV. So Netflix and co are just a small step behind, but I think that's a pretty interesting shift to see how the coming up generation is behaving. The next chart, if you want to switch. Did we skip the Fortnite? No. Yeah, I think one of the most interesting examples and most interesting games to look at currently is Fortnite. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. If not, please Google it, please read about it, because in America it's a pretty huge thing, and also in Europe. Fortnite has become a place where even hip-hoppers got to release their new album or their new sneaker drop inside the game, which is quite interesting. So I think what we see here is the trend of worlds emerging into each other. So I would just say a quite interesting part to have a look at if you are, if you're having a product that might fit to that generation.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's something I also haven't heard about Fortnite. So we actually talked about this when we had the slides from these two makeup artists. We tackled it a bit. Is it a real business? So yeah.
It definitely is a real business. I just wanted to show you that if you stick and be consistent, and I must say, I'm not sure if I'm happy about this example, because the story behind Ryan is that he started when he was 3 years old. And I must admit, I'm not a fan to drag children into social media, but that is a different topic. I think we could do a workshop about that. But he has definitely become, over the years, the top earning YouTube star. And if you see the number, it was 22 million, but by the end it was 26, way over 26 million, just by reviewing and doing game videos or toy videos. It is a huge and incredible market.
Yeah, it's also what you talked about, blessing and curse. But if you so you need to know how to use it.
Decision you have to take. I wouldn't do that. I really love Sally's World. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. She's a YouTuber from Germany. She started. She has a passion for baking, And she started over ages ago a YouTube account. And what I really love about her is that it shows that consistency can lead you into huge success.
Mm-hmm.
She was really consistent, sticking into this niche of cooking and baking. And she made the first step she did after the YouTube success was getting out her own cookbook. The next step was like to get a huge and big shop and website where she had her own products launched. She got her own TV show out of the concept of baking. And right now, that is like the next slide. And this was a point that really hit me pretty hard. Unfortunately, this article is in German because I didn't find an English one. But you all might know the brand Lidl, the supermarket. And this guy was the marketing leader for Germany, or for the DACH region in Germany for Lidl. And he was doing pretty good marketing campaigns. He was a huge name here. And he left Lidl to join Sally's World, so a YouTube product, a YouTube original, to become her marketing lead. Which for me is quite an interesting example to see how the old economy, or how people in, I would say, old economy businesses jump on something that has started as a YouTube channel.
Yeah, and that is, yeah, that's really interesting. Wow. You also brought us a video.
Yeah, I brought you guys a video because
I will try to, maybe you can introduce it and I will try to switch.
Yeah, I think why this video is so interesting, and we were talking about the different messages you have to send. I think this is just from the productional perspective, and we as a studio wanted to bring you an example how you can tell different stories. This is a video for Volvo trucks. And this video includes different layers because it wanted to reach different target groups. And can you switch back maybe to the YouTube, not to the big one, so that we can see the numbers?
Yes.
And as you can see down there, the views, I mean, it's 2015, but the views over all the time shows the huge success this video made through YouTube. Maybe some of you guys have seen it, I'm pretty curious. But I think what they really mastered in here is to do and entertain in different levels. The message for people who buy trucks for their business is, if you buy a Volvo truck, it's indestructible. It's a good thing and it's valuable and it will last for a long time in your company. If you are a trucker and you see this video and you have a family, the message is daddy is safe. So whatever happens, he will be safe. And if you are just a YouTube user like me, you might just enjoy this little story and seeing like the pleasure of this little girl who is out of a family. Also, she is the daughter of a trucker, and she got to be the testimonial for a test drive. And I think it's a pretty impressive production, and for a product that usually would not be a huge success on YouTube, a great way on how to become a success on YouTube by showing different story layers.
And really entertain as well. So I would suggest we watch that video and then we jump into the final roundup and jump into the Q&A, but just to give us some insights here. Okay, I will start to play it. I hope it all works.
I'm gonna walk up, then I stop there, then I drive it. Left and right, back and forward.
I think the voice is unfortunately not good. Something might be with the tone.
You have 22 in the phone. Then after your phone to get the next door the fool. Then I feel so to get the nerves started. Anytime you bring it in, I will see start wow. See the office, the doors, one the style. Bang, diggy, diggy, diggy. Bang, diggy, diggy, diggy.
Yeah, I think we will definitely share the link in the chat because Lena, you choose the wrong option, I think, for the sound. But you can let it just run through, I would say.
So sweet.
Yeah, so I think we will share it so that you can have the full experience with the full sound. Yeah, this is just one example how to do messaging on different levels, and even like it reaches an audience that might not be related to buying a truck or driving a truck.
Definitely, definitely. It's almost like a little cinema movie.
Yeah, it's a mini series, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, great. Sophia, I think you have looked into the questions we have. I'm trying to open that. Maybe I stop. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, thanks, Pascal. Somebody was quick and already posted the YouTube link.
Great. So we do have the first question.
Yeah,
I think nobody argues that the fact that focusing on customers need to make sense. The difficult part is to identify the target group. And
Sophia, we are not hearing you. We can hear you type.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. The first question I would just is to have any suggestions how to make the process effective. Yes, we can hear you now. Now you're gone again.
Okay, Lena, just would you?
Yeah. So we spoke about how to identify the target group. I think you already said you can do research. You can look into different different platforms. Yeah.
How to identify the target?
Do you have any suggestions how to make that process effective? I think it is the time. It does.
It is definitely the effort and the time you have to put into that. I mean, the base is to start to look at your current customers. You usually have a product in the beginning, and I think you usually have a thought about who to sell this product to, or you already sold it to people. So basically start with the ones you have, categorize them into like regular customers coming back often or one-time customers, and see like which age range it is. See if you want to like get into a different range too. I think we had one struggle with one client who had always a 60-40% ratio women and men, and he saw over the time that he was losing women on several platforms he was using. That was because Instagram was rising and a lot of women went from Facebook to Instagram. So basically what we did then was to build out a strategy how he could like reach his audience on Instagram, but that also takes the effort to look into the material and into the content and see how we have to like rework it for Instagram. Because what I would never do is to push out content on every platform like in the same way, because that is frustrating for the users too, and they don't feel valued. So if you prepare, and that is what I'm referring to when I say look into the platform, look into the behavior, how the platform works and how people are using the platform, and then think about how you can create out of your content pieces that fit into this world. So yeah, back to the target group, definitely see who is your current target group, who do you want to reach in the future, and how can you match that, and what would the messaging be behind that. Most companies have somebody who's doing research or sitting in client service who can give you some insights about your current consumers.
Okay.
And then depending on, as I mentioned, there are different tools you could use, but you could also buy studies. For the German market, there is one big study. It is called the Shell-Jugendstudie. Shell, like the oil company Shell. But the interesting part is that they are doing this use study I think every 3 years or every 4 years. I have to look it up. And they bring out this huge compendium about the use and about what changes and what is moving them. So this is pretty interesting if you have products or if you are working with a younger generation, I would say from 18 plus.
Yeah. So what I really understand is also that you have to use a different approach than to your normal marketing strategy. It's a whole new world. You can not just.
Yeah, it's I would say it's a combination, because you have to understand also the platforms and the behavior. So usually in the old marketing world, we already know and have experienced how tools worked. We know how a TV spot works, or how a print advertorial works, or how a classic online banner works. So we know the KPIs. I think the challenge in social media is that the market, as we mentioned in the beginning, is constantly changing. New platforms are popping out and everyone gets nervous and excited and it's like, oh, I have to do this too. No, you don't. Just breathe, look at it, see if it gets value for you and if you can create value on your platform with your content, and then choose to go there, and don't just rush there because everyone is there. That is, this one size fits all doesn't work actually.
Yeah. And as you said, you said that when we talked, it's a marathon and not a sprint. You mentioned that.
Yeah, so running social media accounts is cardio actually. It's a cardio because you have to like continuously look into your content, evolve, see if your target group interacts with your content, look at the feedback and work with the feedback. That is the most important part. Listen, work with it, and make your product better.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm going to the next question. As internet, smartphone, social media are pretty new to humanity. Users don't really know what they want, short attention span. How would you approach this as a content producer in regard to for someone to be the sustainable brand in a long run?
Think about values. I think everyone wants to gain something out of the content. So basically what we are doing when we approach to produce something, we think about a value we can give somebody. Also, this video is a good example. People who want to buy a truck or who are like into this business have learned something out of this product. It seems to be pretty tough and not like destroyable, so you learn something out of it. Or you just got entertained by it, or you just learned something you want to share with somebody else. So put a value into your post or into your content, and like really try to work hard to build your organic audience. That is what I meant with see how they reflect with it, see how they interact with it, and learn from that. And then you can suddenly get better by time, by evolving.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not easy in the beginning, and you won't have this like, everyone is like, how can we do this like super viral stuff from the beginning? It's not easy to create something viral. And even if you go in there with the intention, you don't have a guarantee that in the end, this one will really go viral.
Mm.
So the best thing you could do is really think about, what is your message? What do you want to deliver?
Mm.
What's the person you want to talk to? And how can you find the same language so that the understanding happens in between those two parties?
And something which is really eye-opening is when you said, take a trial period, not for 4 weeks, take a longer trial period and use that, because it's so fast moving and you always feel like you have to be quick, but it's actually to set something. Yeah,
But
really interesting.
don't take this trial period just to push out content. Please take this trial period seriously and try to like get better and to work during this trial period. It's work. That is why I'm referring to cardio.
And not to, yes, okay. The next question is, Corona forced us to experience life isolated from society. Would this experience lead to introspection moment for society as a whole and lead to a radical different patterns in content consuming? Yeah.
I say no, because I mean, there's two quotes I always loved. Everything begins and ends with a story. I mean, every one of us got raised with stories, good night stories or books or a show you have seen. So people are always related to a good story and somebody explaining something to you. So that is one part. And on the other part, humans always follow humans. It is a tradition. You want to look up to somebody, you see somebody as an inspiration, or you take out stuff from it. So I think, of course, human interaction might have changed due to the lockdown. But I think it will be even more important to reflect how you want to present yourself. That is what I meant in the beginning with the responsibility, what you want to communicate to the outside world. Because you definitely have to consider that it has an impact to the other person sitting at the end of the screen. And that is why I think it is so important to like understand your target group and even understand fears and needs of them to like really get to a good point.
To get, yeah. And you've been, sorry, no, and you've been also speaking about the fake and real connection.
I mean, that is a sad part, actually. I mean, that is, I think, one of the illnesses of Instagram, but also, I think it's also human, because we love to see the positive stories. We love to have like something we wanted to reach to, like kind of the perfect world. And especially in times where everything is uncertain and cruel, and you like even don't know, I would say it's a trend into cocooning. You go back into your home because you have to be in it, certainly, but then you try to create the best world for you if you have to be inside this lockdown. So that means that also people become more resourceful because you have less time in your day. You become more resourceful in how you consume and what you consume. Not everyone, but a lot of us.
Yeah.
Well, really rethinking about like, do I want to really follow this, or do I rather want to follow something that is more inspirational and giving me more hope or a good feeling?
Yeah.
So I think I see this definitely as a good chance, but we definitely will have people who will like misuse this for other things.
Yeah.
But I also see and still am pretty sure that it is needed to have human interaction and to try to create events in any kind of form. Hopefully they will be possible, where we can gather together, because it is this need to also be like really not over a screen in contact to somebody, but also like in real life. Even if you're not allowed to shake hands, it is something completely different if you're standing in front of a person and looking them into the eye instead of doing this through a monitor.
Yeah.
So I don't think this will deeply change. I think even I'm pretty curious to see if we get this Corona thing into kind of a way we can live with it, how this will be in human interaction, in like seeing and meeting people again.
Yeah.
I don't know, it depends on in which city you are living, but you can see in Berlin that a lot of people really are yearning for this, like meeting with friends and getting into involvement.
Yes, Yeah, definitely. So we are now at past. I would like to take 5 more minutes if you're okay with that.
Oh, I'm totally fine with that.
However, there will be a recording. Let's just try to answer. There are quite a few questions, and I will just go through them, and then there will be the recording. So are the recommendation algorithms blocking our capacity to choose? That is a question.
I would say if you really identify that it makes sense for you and your product to be on social media, if you really tick all those boxes and say, I can really see that I can reach a good target audience, that I can build up a new audience, fulfill my KPIs, which we did in the beginning, then I would definitely say raise for help. You can definitely do a trial period with the team you have in-house or hire an agency. But what you have to keep in mind, social media is pretty hard work. As I meant, consistency and always reconsidering, is my content good? Depends resources. So it needs resources. So if you really want to do this, and if you see a market and if your KPIs are fitting, then you definitely should go into a talk with your manager and ask if there's a possibility to open a new position, to hire somebody, or to do this together with an agency in a work. So I think it is mainly important that somebody out of the team is doing it, because nobody understands your business than yourself does. So I'm mostly a fan of people sitting in the company and just asking for help from somebody to guide them through it. But a lot of companies can't afford this overhead, so they go for agencies, which is also fine. But really take your time and find the agency where you have the best gut feeling, I would say, because the better you match with each other and the more understanding there is, the better your success will be.
Okay.
Because, as mentioned, it's all about the value you can bring into the platform, and that means you have to understand what the message is, what the need is, and what the target group is.
Yeah. Okay, great. The next question is, how is social media influencing B2B marketing and sales processes where the buying decision may lie on multiple people's shoulders? I think you did answer some of that, but maybe.
Yeah, I think this is where it depends on what kind of business you have. As mentioned, LinkedIn can for B2B marketing be a good platform. But I see also a lot of companies trying that on Instagram. So I would advise definitely to look into, okay, what is the business I want to reach? Where is my partner business where I want to cooperate with, fishing? Are they maybe on Instagram too? Do I see somebody else in my competition having success on different platforms? That was what I'm referring to, the buffet. Look at it and try to pick out different things. And then think about how you want to proceed with that.
Yeah.
Because everyone, even if it's business to business, if we both have a business, I get into a private mode and I might be on Instagram and I might follow somebody from my business just out of curiosity and out of interest. So you might not reach me on the business level maybe in this moment, but you might reach me in the private moment, getting a glimpse of interest for the business, and I might follow you and get into interaction with you because I think the work you are doing is pretty interesting and good. So you also have to consider those two ways. The one is the classical business way, approaching somebody in classical business to business marketing, but there might be also a way in this private mode.
Yeah.
And that might be an interesting part.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at the questions. So there are 2 more I would like to approach. One is quickly answered, and it's coming a few times. It's about gender. I mean, is gaming a non-gender platform, categorized by age?
Yeah, every platform should be a non-gender platform. I think it depends, but it depends on the product you want to sell. Some products are especially for women. I think one of our clients is Johnson & Johnson, approaching definitely with some product ranges just women. So as mentioned, you can learn from anyone. And also gaming is a good mix entertainment business where you have women and also men and also gender-free persons, I would say. I think this discussion about being gender-free makes it pretty hard. I would see everybody as a human in the beginning, and then see what is the need of this person standing there.
Yeah.
Completely gender-free.
Yeah.
If I have the possibility to do that, if I have a special gender product, I must be in this range, of course. What was the second question?
Yeah, so it goes into, is B2B marketing and categorizing by age, gender still important, and if not, what would be useful factors to look into?
Age is definitely important because you have different needs when you are 18 than when you are like 30 or 40 or 50 in the end. And as I mentioned, you may have a different approach if you are on social media and older. You might also follow business accounts just to see, because you want to evolve your own business or your own work, just to see and learn from them.
Yeah.
So that is something someone in the younger age won't do. That is why it is so important to make a good workshop and a good audit about the target group and about the strategy.
Definitely, and that's the last question, because is too much content an issue for younger generations, or they find it normal and process diverse topics info easily? I just, as you talked about age, would
definitely. I can assure you that younger generations are pretty quick in sorting out what they want to follow, and they quickly also unfollow people, which is quite interesting and which I really like because I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
But as always, it depends on how you as a parent or how you as a friend or a relative are communicating to them and also are discussing those topics with them. Be curious, ask them about the behavior, who they are following, why they are following those persons. I will tell you, you get the most insights out of this than anywhere else. And that is what I'm actually doing for my regular work. I ask my friends and I ask those kids of the friends. I first ask for permission, of course. But then I really try to talk to them, and they really love to share most of the time because they also want to get heard. And especially this generation, which is like evolving so much into Fridays for Future, into sustainability and getting a better world, they want to participate. So use it, take it seriously, and try to enjoy the conversation and learn from them why they are following certain things and why they are unfollowing them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is I think the big takeout from this session is take this market really seriously, do your research, and
take your fellow human seriously,
slowly.
Not only the market, take your fellow human seriously.
Take your fellow human.
It doesn't matter what age it is. It is, I would say, take conversation seriously, listen, and try to take something out of it. And respect also that there might be different opinions or different values. That is totally okay.
Yeah.
As mentioned, there is one size fits all.
Yeah, great. Yes, Yasmin, it was really, really, really interesting. Thank you so much for...
Thank you everyone for joining. I don't know how many questions we have. I mean, what I could offer is to answer a few of them maybe in a written part. If that helps, if somebody has the need or really feels like I would love to have, to have my question answered, I would really love to do that because I know we were running out of time. I'm sorry.
That's great. So maybe Vanessa, how
yes.
can we do that?
Yes, we will send you the questions so you can type your answer, and to the ones we haven't enough time to answer now live. And I would like to thank you all for being with us today and sharing such an interesting chatting with us. And so for now, I thank you all, and I say you bye-bye, and thank you very much.
Thank you too, Vanessa. Wishing everyone a good day, and be curious, just breathe, and have some fun doing social media.
Just breathe.
Social media should be fun.
Thank you,
Oh,
Lena and
you.
Yasmin.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.